The morning sun broke over the quiet streets of Cedarville, a small American town where everyone knew each other by name. On the corner of Main Street stood Millie's Diner, a modest cafe with cracked leather booths, the smell of fresh coffee, and the constant hum of familiar voices. It wasn't fancy, but for the people of Cedarville, it was home. Among the staff was Clara Bennett, a 24-year-old waitress with warm brown eyes and a smile that rarely revealed how heavy life had been. She moved gracefully between tables, balancing trays, listening to customers' stories as if they were her own. To most, she was just a waitress. To the town, she was the heart of the diner. But behind her kindness was hardship. Her father, a decorated veteran, had died 2 years earlier, leaving behind medical debt and a farmhouse with a roof that leaked every time it rained. Clara's younger brother, Sam, just 16, dreamed of college, though their finances made it feel impossible. Clara worked double shifts, often skipping her own meals, so Sam would never go hungry. That morning, as Clara tied her apron, Millie, the elderly owner, leaned close and whispered, "Big day, honey. The president's motorcade is passing through town. Might even stop here." Clara laughed. "Millie, why would the president eat at our little diner?" Millie only shrugged. "Stranger things have happened." Clara brushed it off and poured the first cups of coffee, unaware that before the day was over, her courage would be tested and her life forever changed. The diner buzzed with its usual rhythm truckers sipping black coffee, mothers sharing stories over pancakes, students grabbing muffins before class. Then came the sound of sirens. Heads turned as black SUVs rolled past the window. Secret Service agents stepped out, scanning the area with practiced eyes. Moments later, the door swung open and in walked President Donald Trump. The diner froze. Even Millie dropped the fork she was polishing. Clara, tray in hand, stood rooted to the spot. She'd seen him on television countless times, but never imagined he'd be standing in her section. "Good morning, folks," Trump said warmly, flashing a grin. "Heard this place has the best coffee in town." Nervous laughter rippled through the room. Millie hurried forward. "Mr. President." "Welcome. Please sit anywhere." He chose a booth by the window, Secret Service close behind. Millie's eyes met Clara's. It would be her job to serve him. Clara steadied her hands and approached. "Good morning, sir. What can I get you?" "Coffee, black, and whatever you recommend for breakfast. Most folks love Millie's biscuits and gravy," she said. "And the pancakes are pretty famous." "Biscuits and gravy it is," Trump said with a grin. "And one pancake. I want to see what the fuss is about." As Clara scribbled the order, Trump studied her. "How long have you been working here?" "Almost 5 years," she replied. "Ever since high school. Helps keep the lights on at home." "That's good," he said. "Hard work? People don't appreciate how important that is." Clara smiled politely, but her thoughts turned bitter. Her father had worked harder than anyone, and it still hadn't been enough. When she delivered his food, Trump took one bite and chuckled. "Millie, you've been hiding this from the country. Best biscuits and gravy I've ever had." The diner laughed, but Clara's heart pounded. This was her chance, maybe her only chance, to ask for something that truly mattered. When Trump finished his meal, he reached for his wallet and placed a stack of crisp bills on the table. Clara's eyes widened. $500. "For you," he said warmly. "You've been wonderful," the diner buzzed. No one in Cedarville had ever seen a tip like that. Millie mouthed, "Take it, honey." But Clara didn't move. Her father's words echoed in her mind. Money comes and goes. Integrity that lasts. She took a breath. "Mr. President," she said softly, her voice cutting through the chatter. "I can't accept this." Gasps spread through the diner. Trump raised his brows. "You don't want it?" Clara shook her head. "It's generous, sir, but I don't need money. What I need is something only you can give." The room went silent. Even the Secret Service paused. Trump leaned forward, intrigued. "And what's that?" Clara's voice trembled at first, then grew steady. "A promise. A promise to remember families like mine, families who give everything and still fall through the cracks. My father was a veteran. He fought for this country. But when he came home sick, we couldn't afford the care he needed. He didn't die because he lacked courage. He died because he lacked help. Please, don't let other families go through that. Don't let kids like my brother lose their chance at a future." The diner was so quiet, the hum of the lights filled the room. Clara blinked back tears. Trump leaned back, studying her. "So instead of taking $500, you're asking me to listen." "Yes, sir," she said, "because that matters more than money ever will." For a moment, he was silent. Then, in a tone softer than anyone expected, he said, "You just gave me more to think about than most politicians ever have." The story should have ended there, but within hours, word spread first among diners, then across Cedarville, then on social media. Headlines followed: "Waitress refuses president's tip." "Small-town girl speaks truth to power." Cameras soon crowded outside Millie's diner. Customers called Clara brave. She shrugged it off, insisting she wasn't a hero. But 3 days later, the diner phone rang. Millie answered, then turned pale. "Claritz, the White House." The voice on the line was calm. "Miss Bennett, the president would like to invite you and your brother to Washington, D.C., as his guests." Clara nearly dropped the receiver. Sam, however, was ecstatic. "Clara, you can't say no. Dad would want you to go." And so, with her brother at her side, Clara boarded a plane for the first time in her life. Just days earlier, she had been serving coffee in a small-town diner. Now she was headed to the White House. The Oval Office gleamed in the afternoon sun when Trump welcomed them. "Clara Samaim, what you said back in that diner, it stayed with me." Clara swallowed hard. "I wasn't trying to make a scene. I just wanted someone to listen." "And I did," Trump said. "Your father was a veteran, you said?" Her throat tightened. "Yes, Sergeant Daniel Bennett. He served 2 tours. When he came home, he worked the farm until he got sick. We tried everything, but the bills," her voice cracked. "We lost him." Sam lowered his head. Trump was quiet for a long moment. Then he nodded to an aide, who handed Clara a folder. Inside were documents she had never seen before: commendations, reports, and a letter signed by her father's commanding officer. Her eyes widened. "What is this?" Trump looked her in the eye. "Your father saved 3 men during an ambush overseas. He was commended for bravery. But the recognition was never delivered. Bureaucracy failed him. Failed you." Clara's hands shook as she clutched the folder. For the first time, she felt the full weight of her father's sacrifice and the honor he had never received. And in that moment, she realized her voice had reached further than she ever thought possible. Clara wore a simple blue dress, her father's dog tags resting gently against her collarbone. Beside her, Sam straightened his best shirt, standing taller than she'd ever seen him. Cameras flashed as they stepped into the White House, but Clara kept her gaze steady. She wasn't nervous anymore, just grateful. Trump greeted them warmly. "Clara, Sam today isn't about me. It's about you and every family who's given so much." At the signing ceremony, Clara felt her father's presence more strongly than ever. When the pen touched paper and she saw Daniel Bennett written into history, her hands trembled. Tears blurred her vision. "I never knew," she whispered. Trump's voice softened. "Your father was a hero. Families like yours must never be forgotten." For the first time, Clara felt seen not just as a waitress, but as a daughter carrying her father's legacy. Then Trump leaned closer. "Tell me, Clara, if you could change one thing not for yourself, but for families like yours, what would it be?" Clara inhaled deeply, steadying her voice. "Support, not just while they serve, but after. Medical care, scholarships for their kids, real help when they come home. My dad gave everything to this country, but when he needed help most, we were alone. Families shouldn't have to fight the battles, the one overseas and the one back home." Sam added quietly, "My dream is to go to college, sir, but I don't know if it's possible." Trump's gaze lingered on both of them. "You're not asking for money, you're asking for fairness, for honor." Clara nodded. "Yes, not just for US 4, every family like ours." A heavy silence filled the room. Then Trump said, "Most people would have taken the tip and walked away. But you asked for change. I'll think on this, and I promise I won't forget what you've said today." As they left the Oval Office, Clara carried both hope and doubt. Politicians made promises all the time. Still, deep down, she sensed this was different. Back in Cedarville, the town greeted them with cheers, hugs, and endless questions. But Clara tempered Sam's excitement. "Don't get your hopes too high. Words don't always lead to action." Yet she never let go of her father's commendation letter, carrying it everywhere like a shield against despair. Weeks passed. Life returned to routine coffee, poured trays balanced, familiar stories told across Millie's worn diner booths. But the whispers never faded. Some called her brave. Others said she was foolish to turn down money. Clara smiled politely, but inside she wondered if her moment had already passed. Then, one stormy evening, Sam burst into the diner, breathless. Clara turned on the TV. She fumbled for the old set behind the counter. On the screen, President Trump